All right. Hopefully we can find this thing.
How's that hell place?
It's warm, unpleasant. That's dry. It's a dry heat. So not that bad.
Oh, you're in Tucson. Well, welcome home.
Ah,
All right. I was not
getting used to
able
it.
Yeah, I was not able to find any of
One
that
more diamond.
ender dust ore.
Hmm.
So I don't know if like I said, I was too low. I want to have a whole nother adventure of me mining, because I think that would get boring, even though we could talk about Boston more. It's still weird to me. I don't know why. Anyways, but
It's either Boston or Queen, one of the two. I'm a fan of
Queen.
both.
Queen, solid band. So there's a lot of bands at that time that I like some of their stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I grew up with siblings that were way older than me. I've listened to Kiss on 8-track.
Kiss is another good band. Oh.
But Kiss is a weird band now. I want to put this out there.
Oh, but I love their music.
No. Here's the reason. Kiss is kind of like their whole marketing thing is like and mind you, this was like the 70s, so it was a much different time. It was a simpler, happier time.
Yeah.
But Kiss really marketed itself as pretty much like this super evil, band that
We're not your dad's band.
Yeah, like they were like super. The funny part is, their stuff is real poppy.
It is, and that's why I love it so much. It's like it's a complete 180 from what their image is.
Yeah,
it's like they got the extra long tongues and the crazy makeup and all. It's the thick like shoulder pads and the spikes and stuff all over. But they sing like Detroit Rock City, which is super popular. I love it. I'm like, it's great.
Gene Simmons' alter ego is the Demon. He's the Demon. Now, that's scary. Space Ace, not so much. Cat Dude, whatever the hell his name was. I don't remember.
No one remembers his name.
And Space Ace. And did I already say that one? And who's the other one? Space Ace, the Demon, Meow Meow guy, and
the other one.
Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons. Oh my God, it's gonna
forget the name, so don't rely on me for help.
I'm sure somebody has already typed it 37 times.
Oh yeah.
Paul Stanley was Jim. I don't remember what the hell his name was. Anyways.
Paul Stanley's guy. Yeah. But go on.
God, it's just gonna bug the crap out of me. All right, but yeah, like I said, they were like so evil, and like at the time you had like, now I mean, okay, before anybody says anything cheeky, remember, I'm not that old. I was born in the late 70s, but I don't remember the 70s. Anyways.
Ooh, black terracotta.
But yeah, there was like family rights groups that were like burning their records, like driving over them in steamrollers and everything like that. And they were just a painted up version of like the Monkees. I mean, let's be dead honest.
Yeah.
The music was really bouncy and whatnot.
Yes. But then also for consideration, if you also think about, let's take for example, Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson, his songs, granted, sound like they're kind of songs, but in reality, he's like one of the coolest guys.
Oh no, yeah.
And all that stuff. It's kind of it's similar to me in regards to like Kiss outside of everything is like they're actually kind of cool guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Gene Simmons kind of a douche, but
he's a little bit he's a little poopy, but whatever.
Yeah, but that's once again.
This is Fortress.
Where the heck is this ore? Oh crap! Where the hell does this water come from?
But yeah, I could say that I listened to a good smattering of that decade of bands.
Late 70s, early 80s. But then you also now you said earlier, and I know we're having 2 episodes of talking about bands, but
we hardly ever talk about this.
I know we never talk about this. You're seeing we're taking down the walls and showing you whatever. Anyways, but yeah, like I said, I'm a fan of a lot of the stuff from then. But I will say that, and here's another thing, and I think this goes with any decade. there was a lot of really crappy music then too.
Yes, I agree.
I like to point out that the time where most of these bands were coming to life, coming into their own, if you will, was also the era of disco. So,
yeah. Yeah, and we all know how that turned out.
Oh yeah, wonderfully. Anyways, got some Certus chords. Can't beat that.
Good. I got lots of that too.
Come on, where's this essence? I know it's in there.
But like I said, beyond just those guys, I'm also a big fan of some alternative metal. I'll admit it, I like Disturbed.
I couldn't tell you one of their songs in my life depended on it.
They are known as nu metal or fake metal, I guess. They're not hardcore. They're kind of poppy. Their songs tend to have the similar chords and similar beats and everything. The tempo is very the samey with them.
All right, now when you say nu metal, do you mean NEW or NU umlaut?
NU metal.
Okay.
Fireball gassed. So they're.
And I'm you know what? I'm gonna take this time right now, and I'm gonna say something rather controversial.
What?
I would say in the course of my lifetime, spanning the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, the aughts, as I like to call them.
The Audis.
And the teens.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough to say. Okay. I would have to say, I grew up,
gotcha.
I was a kid in the 80s. I became a teenager in 1990. So to me, the 90s should technically be like my generation of music.
Right.
The 90s, garbage.
Yeah, there weren't a whole lot of good bands in the 90s.
90s, garbage.
Like, I grew up, I was born in the 80s, and I grew up in the 90s. And I was a teen in the 2000s.
Okay.
So I'm like a late 90s, early 2000s kid.
Yeah, you should probably be more 2000s.
But I've listened to music, like, I've listened to bands like Linkin Park, and I also listened to, like, Blink-182, a lot of the surfer rock bands and stuff, but they never really resonated with me. Even though I believe, I think it was Blink-182 that actually came from my high school.
Carlsbad or somewhere in that area.
It was Poway High.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the lead singer of it came from Poway High or something like that. But yeah, it was those were the bands that I listened to a little bit. But I always preferred more older bands. So like I would listen to I listened to a little bit of I listened to Queen. I would listen to all those older hair band style stuff. I enjoyed Poison. I liked Rat. I liked those kind of old music.
When I was in my like tweens, like 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Big fan of Aerosmith.
Aerosmith is another band I
like. Like around the time Pump came out, Love in an Elevator, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But all my brothers grew up like they were all late 70s, early 80s metalheads. So
yeah.
I kind of grew up around that, to say the least. But
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the funny thing is, in the 90s, and I listened because I was a skateboarder and whatnot. I kind of listened to some punk stuff, and I listened to alternative before it was alternative. I mean, I had Nirvana's Bleach the week it came out, which
Nirvana in Utero was one of the one I liked.
Yeah, so you're a decade younger than me. Bleach was what came out before Nevermind, before anybody knew who they were.
Ah, gotcha.
And I had that like a week before it came out. I had some bootleg I ended up having to buy off some kid or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, oh my God, there's so much bad stuff down here. There's so much going on. It's so nighttime. It is so nighttime right now.
Such a peaceful here in hell.
Yeah, it's nighttime and it is not going well for me.
There's no, nether fortress for me to plunder.
Anyways,
where are they?
The problem is even a lot of those bands I liked then, like, became meh to me later on. Like Nirvana,
Yeah.
And I will say the best thing personally that came out of Nirvana, and here's the funny part. I don't dislike them in any way, shape, or form, But I will say I'm not a big
Oh,
Foo Fighters guy.
Hmm.
I couldn't name 5 songs. Okay. But I'll tell you right now, Dave Grohl, national treasure.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
Oh, he's just a wonderful human being.
His voice, his vocals, and how the range that he had, and the all the songs that he's sung, it's just timeless.
But just as a guy, like
yeah.
I'm not even talking musically. I'm talking just as a human being. Big fan of Dave Grohl. Could care less about his band. Big fan of him as a person. So, no,
Yeah.
I will admit I am a little bit of a music snob. I generally and I'm 40 for Christ's sake. I should really be over this, but generally for the most part, I am not a fan of anything anyone would hear on the radio. It's left over from my old school punk rock days. But yeah, like, so when you said Disturbed, I could not.
That's radio.
I could not tell you a single thing about that band.
Yeah, I admit I have my car radio is tuned to our local station, Rock 105.3, and that's all like classic rock mixed with modern alternative, and a little bit of punk rock mixed in, sprinkled in there for good measure. It's a lot, but they're
radio
all
punk.
But they're all radio. It's all radio. The things you'd hear on the radio. I don't mind it. I like it.
And like I said, and then one thing I can say, getting into my older age, I'm less judgmental of people's music interests. I'm just super pissy when it comes to what I like super stuck up, but not necessarily like I'm damning what anybody else likes.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but here's the funny part. But here's the weird part. There are bands that would also be considered radio bands that I do like. So I'm a little hypocritical on this. For example, I've loved Weezer since the Blue Album.
Oh yeah, Weezer, big one.
Yeah, I was 17 when the Blue Album came out. I mean, I want everybody to take just a second to think about that. I am 41 now. That means the Blue Album came. I remember I was exactly 17. That album, that means it came out 24 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to think.
That is pretty nuts.
Because they're still touring.
And also, it just says how how long ago Weezer formed.
As much as the punk rock, I hate everything on the radio of me hurts to say this, I will flat out say Black Parade by My Chemical Romance, honestly one of the best overall albums I've ever heard, ever. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I used
to listen to My Chemical Romance quite a bit.
I hate myself. The punk rock version of me, I hate myself so bad for saying and believing that. I feel filthy as a person. But I'm going to tell you right now.
MCR, holy cow.
I'm telling you right now, to this day, that album right there, still amazing. Still amazing.
I like to make fun of My Chemical Romance. At first, when they first started coming onto the scene and started being played on the radio, I was listening to them.
Like the song Helena, you're talking?
Yeah, okay. like those. I liked it. I liked listening to their stuff. Mostly because they mixed that kind of like the way they did the choral parts, and the accompaniment for it was like they mixed a bit of like grunge with like some uplifting part. It was like an uplifting kind of tone.
And you could tell the guitarist just listened to nothing but metal the whole time.
100%.
So.
And that, to me, it was like, oh, that's something new. I haven't heard that before. That's kind of novel, and I enjoyed listening to it. But then after, an album or two passed, I was like, you know what? Whatever. But
like I said, and I'm going to point this out. I am solely talking about the Black Parade album.
Right.
Anything they've done after that, no clue. I'm going to tell. I think we're coming close to the end. I don't remember when we started, but I am going to tell a story real quick.
Totally.
Okay.
Oh,
I think I might have told you this story before. Okay. This is one of those my 5 feet from fame kind of stories.
Oh yeah, your lame claim to fame. Gotcha.
Yeah. I feel I can like and talk crap about.
Oh, finally, I found a freaking thing. Sorry, I'm just. Oh God.
Oh God, that scared the crap out of me. I'm like, all right, fine. I won't tell my story, prick. Jesus.
Sorry. Proceed.
Anyways, and I know out there are some closet MCR fans that are still listening to Black Parade, like at least monthly, but you would never admit it. But listen, we're here for you. But I had a friend that I used to hang out with and play in, I was never in a band with him directly, but we played in bands that played together, and I knew him. His name's Mike Petticone. Mm-hmm. Him and old roommate of mine named Jerry Talley started a band called The Bled. They're a hardcore band. If you're not into hardcore, you probably never heard of them. But anyways, I'm more talking to people watching. After The Bled kind of went away, Mike Petticone went on to play. He played for Alanis Morissette for a while. Mm-hmm. And he ended up, because The Bled was on tour with the Houston Mike Romance years ago, a couple tours. They did a U.S. tour and they did a Asia tour.
Yeah.
They were like the opening band for them, The Bled was. They knew Mike from that. Well, the My Chemical Romance, their drummer decided he didn't want to do tours anymore, and then I guess decided overall not to be in the band. I don't know a whole lot with that. So they hired Mike. They hired my friend, My Chemical Romance, to be their drummer.
Yeah.
And which is cool, I mean, local boy makes good kind of idea. And especially not even just the fact that he was from where I'm at, but I know him. Like, I personally have hung out with him on many an occasion. And I saw him when they played on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and I was like, oh, that was kind of cool, just when you're rooting for somebody regardless, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was a whole big controversy because he got kicked out of the band for stealing. My friend. Okay. What basically happened is when he got brought on, and this gives a little insight into the music business. Mm-hmm. Was technically their actual drummer, but he was hired on as a session or a tour drummer, because you're not officially in a band until you've recorded with them, until you're on an album, right? So the funny part is that he wasn't being held to any of their contractual stuff, meaning when those guys are all decked out in leather and, like basically almost like they're wearing costumes on stage, he was wearing shorts and a t-shirt because he didn't have to do that.
Yes.
He wasn't under that part of the contract. Anyways, but when they just released the album after Black Parade, and they were going to when they made the next album, he was going to be the drummer on it. He was going to officially be in the band. Then he had to do all that stuff. Well, the problem is they hired him to do the tour, but the problem is they don't pay until after you get home from the tour.
Yeah.
And it's like a 2-month tour, 2, 3, 4-month tour. So he ran out of money. Nobody would help him out. And I'm talking for food, toiletries, that kind of stuff. None of the guys in the band, who they were cool with them, they were all tight with money. So my buddy Mike took, I think, like $20, $30 out of the money from the merch. And apparently they realized it and got caught and kicked him out. There was a write-up in Rolling Stone magazine about it. Now, here's my favorite part of that entire story. You ready?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the band Tool?
Yes.
Okay. After this happened, Tool hired Mike to play drums for them. Okay. He wasn't in the band, but he was like a touring drummer, right?
Yeah.
And they had never heard him play. They were 100% unfamiliar with any like his music at all. Tool hired him solely because he stole from My Chemical Romance.
That is awesome.
The band Tool hates My Chemical Romance so bad that sight unseen, I guess technically sight unheard or hearing unheard, they'd never heard him play drums because they don't listen to My Chemical Romance. They didn't know the Bled. They didn't know any of that stuff he did. But they hired him to play drums for them on an entire tour solely based on the fact that he was kicked out of My Chemical Romance for stealing from that band. And that makes
holy cow.
I'll be honestly, he moved to LA back even during the Blood days, so I haven't seen him in I don't know 10 years or something like that. So I haven't talked to him, so I don't know what he's up to, but I'm sure he's still. And I mean, he's that good, you know. He played with bands, but yeah, that always amused me that that was that's like, you know, getting hired at Best Buy because your resume only said I got fired from Circuit City. Like, that's all it said. Your name, phone number, I was fired from Circuit City, and that alone is why Best Buy hired you.
That is pretty amusing.
So, Mike Petticone, good guy. I like him.
Well, there we go.
I would give him $30 if I would have known he was broke. But, well, you know,
it's a nice little claim to fame right there.
Yeah, well, it's not mine.
Still,
I was in a band, but yeah,
you know a guy who was in a band with well, not only in, you know, My Chemical Romance, but also in the band Tool. That's just pretty cool.
And Alanis Morissette.
And Alanis Morissette. So there you go.
Here's another little fun thing.
Okay.
All the members of Foo Fighters are from other successful bands.
Yeah, go figure, right?
Obviously Dave Grohl was in Nirvana. The drummer was the original drummer for Alanis Morissette, like during her heyday, you know?
Yeah.
The bass player was in a band called Sunny Day Real Estate, which was actually a really awesome kind of whispery, emo-y, poppy punk band.
Yeah.
And then the guitarist was in a band called No Use for a Name, which was like a Fat Records pop punk band. And then the new guitarist they had in Pat Schmier was in really gross like 80s punk rock bands, and then he was in Nirvana right at the end. So
wow.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Little tidbit of info before we wrap this bad boy up.
That's little nuggets of joy right there.
Yeah, and enjoy our nuggets. You're gonna want to cut them high.
Oh God, don't break no. All right, well, hold on a second. All right, well, thank you all for joining us for this episode of Automaton with myself and Modii 101. If you are new to either of our channels, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, let's do that kind of thing. As always, want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, HostHavoc. If you're looking for quality Minecraft servers and more, you'll check out HostHavoc in the description down below. Be sure to use the referral links to know who has the best fans, including us. Finally got a Blaze Rod. Also, go check out our Patreon in the link down as well. We have, as what you mentioned last episode, we have our Patreon servers going to be refreshed coming up soon. So
all three of them.
All three servers will be updated and refreshed and all that good stuff. You should go check it out if you are interested. Our links have all the instructions you're going to need. So be sure to go check that out. As always, guys, we'll say thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.